Peace, light. What's up, everybody? I'm gonna just go ahead and call this little. It's not gonna be little at all. This is huge arrival energy. Huge. I just saw 13, so we got a 4. So huge arrival energy. I was feeling like doing a bit of a Rita Palooza. I got maybe like 15 to 20 decks in the cuts. I want to get all the messages. Like today's just one of those days where I'm feeling like just capture all the messages, say all the things, share all the things. Because the channel, I kind of wanted to sort of be in a transition after the first 53 videos. So now I think I'm in a different expression and in a different place. I feel like I look really different too. Maybe I don't. Anyways, but yeah, like things are really, there was a very big sort of, oh wow, Dennis just had a great confirmation. So I'll just go ahead and drop the news. So Dennis and I, which you saw at the beginning of this channel, we're living pretty out of union. We've pretty much grounded down into Malkuth, this reality where we are fully in union, and we're seen for our union now in the external world. So we just got a job together at the jobs that we both were working at when we first met each other 6 years ago. We went back to the jobs, but just together at the same location, working the same shifts. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, outside of what the job is, it doesn't matter, because it's really like the value in getting to spend those now 8-hour shifts together. Working as a Capricorn and Aquarius, trust and believe, that's like what we're doing on our own time these days, in free time. So this just feels like getting paid to be together, to like serve, which is like a big part. Like 90% of our relationship is service. So serving ourselves, serving each other, serving the world, like that's just like how we roll. So yeah, now I'm feeling myself really drop into just a really special space. 213, that's so crazy. We're dropping into a really special space at 213, and I'm so excited. I'm just so excited. I am so grateful to be here, to channel these messages. Like, I don't know, I'm just getting good vibes all around. I'm getting like, you're never gonna believe it, and it's gonna be really beautiful. So like at a high view today, we're also gonna talk a lot about the nature of soul contracts, which I think are really going to be helpful for some people, because I think some of you think like you go through a soul contract and you might think it's synonymous to like a karmic lesson, meaning you attracted it from the point of, I attracted something negative because I was thinking negative. You actually weren't, and there's a such thing as a soul contract, which can also be scenarios which may inherently not have anything to do with you trying to attract something for your own learning, but more so you're attracting something you had already predetermined you were going to handle with another party, and how it was going to be handled. So you had already done that before you came on this side of the veil, and now it's just enacting. So the timing of it, because I know some of us could really feel like our confidence was shaken after thinking like, well, if I'm still out here manifesting and attracting really negative situations that are like blowing up in my face, because we had that Uranus conjunction, which left a lot of people being like, damn, like maybe I'm not as far along as I thought. Hello, welcome to soul contracts. Uranus can really activate soul contracts, right? Because a soul contract can also be something that has just a specific function and task outside of just the natural flow of the context we live in. So that contract exists because it's like a vibration that's like solid matter, like it's a density that's attracting into this sort of finite form. So to me, I just feel like we are, Virgo season is going to feel really, really deeply nourishing on this channel. I'm so excited. I'm feeling like it's going to probably be one of the best times of the year, because what we do and how we do it this way, the gang way, is the Virgo way, the pure way, bro, the light, you know, that's how we do it over here. The Virgo saint, you know, that's the lifestyle, that's the real flex, that's the real currency, you know, to live out your sainthood, you know, to live out your inner Casper, you know, your inner ghost, your inner, you know, there's just such an intellect and an expansion to what you have now, you know, and you get to live that out, hopefully, if you follow this journey. So this is really where the channel starts to pivot. I don't know, not a negative, not in frequency terms. I just mean like the first 53 videos are part of like an installation that I was very much, I guess, naturally like timing out and documenting, and now the purpose or the goal or the hypothesis of the installation was like we have enough data to compile a conclusion, which we will be doing under the Aquarius full moon here, super full moon. So really exciting time to be conclusive and to and because conclusiveness is about the ability to derive wisdom and then therefore enact change through the process of gaining wisdom. That is when we are in our God self. That is sainthood. That is what we do here. That is who we are when we're in this community. When we're doing this, we're on angel time, you know, we're on God's time. You know, we're vibing highly, you know, so it's really amazing in that way. But I do feel like there is just gonna be, it's gonna be really, really positive. And like I said, this Virgo season is gonna be super positive for some of us. And I think it's because, like, you know, also where you are right now, that it would take like a level 10 assassin to get to where you are. Like, you gotta be like awakened to be able to arrive at the 2 feet planted place that you've arrived at, which is also amazing. It's just good for everybody. I think you're gonna feel how much your energy is just good for literally everybody. Like, it's feeling confident in that. It's feeling like, dude, like, I just know that, like, I'm gonna really super duper be like good for the whole community. And we start connecting with that health, which is very Virgo 6th house, very saintly, when you feel clean, you know, when you have the ability to be pure and you know, and devoid of any like filth or, you know, impurities or any of that, you know, like you can be in a natural cleansed space. And I think that is there's an impermanence to that, because it really requires a relationship, a working relationship. So Virgos get really outcasted, or people really can understand, you know, how, you know, a Virgo energy might really, really, really like irritate the nerve, pinch the nerve, push the nerve, you know, kind of energy, because I don't know how this download is coming in. It's kind of interesting. It's like this season, it's like there was preparation to be done to avoid like the pinched nerve, like to understand like Virgo is isolated, you know, because naturally, by natural selection, because the process to get to that sainthood really, really requires, you know, so we get irritated with Virgo's demand that you take in all that they're like, no, I did every second of this walk, this journey, this path to get to where I am, to be who I am, so that's why I'm doing this. And so maybe some of us are experiencing that energy right now, and regardless of what side you're on, the way that we're experiencing the Virgo energy is really also, we may have, I'm almost getting the download of like some of us may have put that energy outside of us. So maybe like now it's an inner child wound where like something is outside of you and then you can't have it, you know? So you never made the connection that was like something you were controlling, or that's like a reflection of your internal body. And what you should be doing, who you are, you know, because if you feel really out of alignment with that right now, if you feel irritated by that energy, if that energy is like hard to look at or painful, because okay, so there's this big revelation, because like through this 3-year process that we've kind of been going in, some of the lower vibrations really got by that. Like if you can't understand that, like Drake has that lyric, it's funny that we're bringing up Drake, but Drake has that real lyric where he's like, I know you're not at the top because I'm at the top. Like, that, I couldn't explain that more. That, like, embody that energy. 10-10 I just saw. Embody that energy, because that's kind of exactly what the dynamic is. Like, you get all of the karma that was so horrible, and like you really felt like you were going to need something physical to help you repair, because they may have like hit you in a sector that was just like all the karma from the initiation. You also didn't have an expectation that you were going to get retribution for it, but you are. And so all that the feelings that you went through during the initiation, the really traumatic events or whatever, you're now at this place where you can receive back the full nourishment, and it's in something super simple. Like, the fact that you have this view, the fact that you're at the top and they're not there, you don't even, nothing has to be said. 11-11, nothing even has to be said, is what I'm hearing. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so that may have fallen apart, or that may have, Uranus may have blown that whole thing up, right? But I realize, though, I'm still at the top, and guess who's not here? They're not here. And so in that moment, in that knowing, in that pure bliss moment, wherever they are acknowledges where they are, and wherever you are acknowledges where you are, and whatever preconceived debate or teeter-totter that you were unable to say who's right or wrong, you realize it's actually who's at the top, who was looking down on the whole thing. You didn't want to be right. You wanted to say, I'm up here. I'm not down there. I'm up here. That was your whole point. Some of us, I feel like, had like deep karma, soul contracts that we were playing out. Soul contracts, right? And that's what I'm saying, is I'm also giving nourishment. I'm saying, like, yo, you were just having and going through just like different contracts that you had already signed. So this didn't, that also can give you a relief, so you don't feel like not as confident in yourself as you should. Like, you have this new start happening. Like, I have a huge new start. Dennis is having it hit him right now, but I have a huge new start coming tomorrow, literally. And it's like one of those situations where like I need to soak up all that I'm really responsible for orchestrating at this time. So this kind of knowing, this like arrival really is indicative of so many like things that were taking place that people could have subjectively or allegedly said did or didn't happen, or who was really doing what, or who, and people are going to look up, and they're like, there you are, but like way up there. This alone, you know, leaves you just way up there. I'm gonna go ahead and let's establish the vortex, shall we, people? It's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling beautiful vibes. Like, is that, I don't know. I'm feeling beautiful vibes. Like, you're just way up there. You're just like really hard to reach. And there's no ladder. Like, you're just up there. Your whole world is just up there. Like, cause you're like, I'm also getting like, you're right under their nose. You're just 80 feet up, 80 floors up. No, I'm right here, bro. Yeah, the pin. I'm at the same spot, bro. That's what I'm hearing, but just elevated. I'm just gonna allow Spirit to come over and possess this reading at this point, and just my every thought is attracting is vibrational essence. Whether you are thinking, and this is what we talked about, right? This is Spirit making a note on how your vortex, like soul contracts, are in your vortex, but they are not a part of this process, right? Like, cause some of y'all may have had a situation, you're like, okay, but I wasn't even really out here being toxic like that. Like, I wasn't even trying to attract like some karma. I wasn't even trying to manipulate nobody. Like, my desires are really like pure. If you had pure desires, ooh, Spirit, if your desires were pure, if your mind is actually pure, the way you're gonna translate right now is like, whoa, super pure. You know? If you really had pure intentions, ouch, bullets. It's like, I just saw 15-15. It's like, it's like, if you really had pure intentions, the way that, woo, that was like a spiritual, like, boom. Those of us whose every thought was attracting its vibrational essence, and we knew that, and that's why we moved the way we did, and so therefore we knew we weren't even going to waste time worrying about what we don't want, because obviously if someone is capable of hurting us, trying to blow up our whole reality by one decision, one thought, one choice that they make, what we're not about to do is waste any more time thinking about something that is now automatically unwanted. I already don't want that. If you're hurting me, I automatically don't want that. Some of y'all stuck by your pure intention. This is card number 13. Didn't I call out that at the beginning of this reading I felt so good because I saw number 13? Okay. And then I said the 4, right? I said regret. I don't know what I said, but there it is. That's the literal first card out, and I'm so grateful because it's like some of us knew, like, we really stood by our pure intentions, you know? Didn't waver, didn't falter, didn't change. Didn't matter how many friends we lost, how many people that person could have manipulated. We just didn't even focus on it because we knew by default that is now unwanted. I just don't even want that. I'm just going to move on with my life. Matter of fact, my life was already moved on. This is just a soul contract, meaning this is something for those. I'm seeing that some of us were able to keep our purity because we were able to look at something objectively. I think that's something, you know what I mean? People who objectify versus people who can objectively look at something. That's two different people. I'm going to leave this running. It goes ahead of my mom. Hey, Mima. Yeah, baby's out in bed. Ben's at work. He's saying it's going great. I guess so. He said they're already doing their way outs or something. Yeah, the warden is just cutting and slicing and setting everything up. So for like 2 hours. So usually people put their headphones in for like the first 2 hours. He said it's going great. He said he's so glad he took the training shift today. So hopefully my day, I told him to take a lot of notes so I can read them before I go in, because he knows the store, I don't. So, but yeah. You see this? My goal of having a continued live stream is going to continue because I don't care anymore, you know? Because I just live life. Okay. Okay. Let me get some. Okay. So back to this conversation of objectifying or being able to view something objectively. Like, do you feel you have no choice but to objectify everything? Or are you able to just move through the world objectively? Which is the purest route I'm hearing. The route where you can remain intact to who you really are, and that's what I really mean. That's how I gauge purity. Are you allowing things to obscure, deface your energy, your spirit? Or is your spirit intact? Is it cleansed, Because you do the spiritual maintenance, which is what this channel is about, right? Which is like, yeah, I mean, it's not even so much about me trying to give you, we're pretty much all on the same assignment, because there's pretty much only one assignment. Like, your highest path for everybody, that's a united experience. Like, Uranus is really looking at the whole experience, which is why it doesn't really judge extremes like that. Like, it can be extremely freezing and icy, or it could be extremely hot and gaseous, and like, it doesn't really matter, because Uranus is like thinking a lot bigger about like, what do we all share in common though? We all, whether you're cold or icy or hot, it's like, you're still an element, okay, serving a bigger feeling or energy, and you're all used to being that way, in that pole. So we all have that shared experience. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like if you can objectively witness everything that was going on and still notice, so this is the bottom of the card that I want to read. It says, noticing how things are turning out for you is one very clear way to understand which vibrational request you are emanating, because you are always getting the essence of what you are thinking about, whether you want it or not. So I also feel like when those of us who really are really in that sort of sainthood, or have been walking that initiation path, we were really able to gauge when you would really be able to see an energy, or maybe you even were the energy at some points, right? Where you were like not aware of how things were turning out for you, for either way, like in a negative way or in a really positive way, right? Like, you could recognize, like, you could not be recognizing how like wonderful certain things are, or how like positively people are responding to you, or how the ease and peace that you feel is because you like sought greater ease and peace. Like, you could easily either direction, right? In a like not seeing the good, and also like not seeing anything but the bad, you know what I mean? So you have to understand that noticing how things are turning out for you is one very clear way of understanding which vibrational request. So like, some of you who realize like people who, or energies that you were coming across that just like weren't on that path, weren't on this path of initiation, like they were not able to sort of, victimhood tells you don't look at what's happening to you. It's not about you, it's about them. They're the ones, and that's what I think some of these people were hearing. Because next I want to pull from the dark mirror, but I'm hearing like some of these people got possessed by an energy when it came to you, and that energy told them, no, that girl, like if we were talking about, like, if this was first person, like someone heard like, oh, Alexis, she's the problem, she's the one. Yeah, no, you don't need to look at yourself, don't even review what happened, don't go back, just know like she was the problem, she caused that, for sure, that was her. And that could be very true, right? Like, it could be that like I caused a problem even, right? But what I may also have the intellect to understand is that even if I caused a problem, it's not going to make your problems go away. Because sure, I could be full of shit. I could be lying. I could say something so untrue, so wrong, so dumb, so delete, blah, 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 blah. But what I can rest in, what I did have the intellect to be like, yeah, but I'm spiritually gifted enough and in my practice enough to say, I can feel and sense what your energy is as you walk in through the world. I can feel that, and I acknowledge what I feel with that. And then that way, some people really have issues with truth, because it could be whatever on the third dimension. It could be hot or cold. It could be left or right. It could be right or wrong, up or down, But the reality is, it's all about how you feel. And if I know that how you treat me is a reflection of how you feel about you, and you're treating me badly, you must feel bad about you, and then therefore you must be going through something negative, because you would be creating that. And because I know that, I'm able to use my gifts of capturing the collective imagination, and painting the story and telling to you, almost as psychically, some would say, how does she know all of this? You know, and your ego's going to tell you, well, cuss her out, tell her she's mean, tell her she's the, you know, worst person in the world. But that would just be your ego trying to protect you, but in that same vein, hurt you most, because your attention needs to be on healing yourself. If there's something that's not healed, which has attracted this sort of situation, because you would have done something. If you said something and someone's reacting to it and they're telling you, I'm reacting to this thing that you said that didn't exist before you said it, or didn't exist before you enacted it, you can't really, it doesn't really matter what the response was. The fact of the matter is when you did that thing, this happened. So this is part of noticing how things are turning out for you. That can really help you mature, I'm hearing. Because it's one very clear way, because you saw how I was able to connect all of those dots for you, to tell you how I was able to, what would appear as like psychically know what move you were even going to make, what's even going on for you. I was able to prophesy it, but it's just because, it's only because I notice how things are turning out for me. Because if you're psychic, but if you don't know you're psychic, or you don't know what that is definitively for you, like, you may not start, you may never be prompted to start noticing how things are turning out in regards to like the esoteric. So it was purely my curiosity meeting an opportunity that created the luck of like where I am now in my channeling, and where we're going now on this channel, you know. But it's a very, very easy way to just be a better person. Let's put it at that, you know. When you're noticing how things are turning out for you, which means you're taking stock, and now you're going to eventually audit that information, Virgo season. And you're going to, because like I said, Virgo season is going to be great for this channel, because Virgo season is just looking at everything we've done from when we started this channel to now. Auditing, organizing, giving value to, promoting, putting out. It's gonna be very individualized interaction. So I feel I can really see like an audience growing. Yeah. Anger and chains. I see this giant Leo lion, and it just makes me think of the Leo collective. Wasn't that great? Yeah, so it came out in the reverse, but we're just going to show you what it says. Forgetting oneself. Card number 17. Wow. Okay. And I feel like that's the dark side of the star, because this Aquarian full moon is going to give light, because if we're all on stage right now performing our little whatevers, the actual stars, like the people who are the stars out of all the people that auditioned, they're under the Aquarian full moon, like it's gonna be like very exalted, but then there's also the shadow of the 17 star key, right, in the tarot, which is when you forget yourself, and the shadow of Aquarius is Leo, if we're just looking across the wheel. And so let's see. Time as an eternal present, not fleeting but locked. No progress is no regress either. A naked young man whose curly brown hair are intertwined by a golden laurel crown. Half of a golden mask protects his eye, while the sky around him breaks, ripped to the shape of a mistletoe branch. Eating the lotus flower, numbing our identity to go by the sound of a music that was never ours. Let me run that back. Eating the lotus flower, numbing our identity to go by the sound of a music that was never even ours. How deep can it get, Leo season? Going dark. A modern Adonis, an ancient Hermes, a grown-up Cupid shrined by laurel, mirth, and lotus. He is the welcoming allure of the present moment. The warm embrace which numbs everything else like Bacchus' wet kiss. If you let go of the pressure and of the pain, if you let go enough of your identity and of the context you live in, then you will just feel better. It is what happens when you fall asleep, when you take refuge in the arms of a loved one, or when you watch a movie slumped ungraciously on a comfy couch. Sometimes, however, it asks for more. It takes more out of you, more of yourself to be forgotten, to just feel a little better. And maybe the twisted idea that if you forget everything, then you will actually really feel better. Forgetting everything, letting everything go, not just as a moment of rest, but as a jump in the dark. It is like vertigo. You stand on the edge of the precipice, and a little part of you wants to jump, but it's just a moment of rest, a moment of pause, a moment of uncreative selfishness. So what? Let it be and sleep soundly. The Aquarius star energy, right? That's being highlighted on the stage on this Aquarius, under this Aquarian super full moon energy, are the people who volunteered to make a show out of how to forget yourself. And those people are now getting to jump in and never have to jump back out into what was. Now there's also the energy of then there's, because this is a very thin line. This is the thin line between genius and craziness, right? Because you can eating the lotus flower, numbing our identity to go by the sound of a music that was never ours, right? Because there could be a reluctancy. There could be a version of us that says, like, some of us really resonate with, like, I let go of certain things because the backdrop of my life, the safety of my life, I don't want that to be my responsibility. Like, I want Source to orchestrate that. I want Source to really be the one who figures that out, so I can let go and let Source do that. And then I can focus on whatever I am, right? And then there's the other end of that is, like, you can also be numbing what your true identity is, right? There's some of us who realize, right, the people who aren't pure, because it's about the purity. Because at the end of the day, what tells you how forgetting oneself helps you or hinders you, like, some of you needed to forget yourself in order to completely break through, and others of you needed to forget yourself in order to completely manipulate and keep a mask, you know, right? So your purity, your spiritual sainthood is what's gonna tell spirit, like, we're all forgetting ourselves here, right? We're all, yeah, you're right, we're all doing the same thing, but we're not all walking the path, you know? We're all ascending here, but we're not all choosing the path along the way, right? So for those of us who chose the ascension, who chose the initiation, who chose to go into the fire and to come out with your ownership of your whole identity, congratulations, because you know how to forget yourself and survive, you know? And now you never have to lose yourself again. Now there are some of us who are, like, forgetting who the fuck you are and are way out of alignment, you know? And your motivations are all to, like, keep this look. But how much do you rely on your eyes is what I'm hearing. Like, why does everything have to be, like, all of our art can't just be, like, solely relying on our sight, you know? Or maybe that's just what we've always gotten. Maybe we only really know art. That's why it's played too. Like, maybe if it's time for revolution, like, if you're just now starting to really take a hold of people's vision, I don't know, 2020 seemed like and then there's this at the bottom of the deck, hiding your true self, right? That's what we're saying. Some of us were hiding our true self because there was going to be a big reveal, the Aquarius full moon, after we, like, completely transformed. Some of us were hiding ourselves because there's going to be a big reveal and we hate what we hide. You will always have an addict. You will always have a shadow, right? It's about what you put there. So if your shadow, you always put fucked up, dirty, doo-doo, caca behavior, memories, traumas, things you've done, things you don't want to talk about, things you think are whatever, rigid beliefs, la 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 la. The more you want to put that stuff in your attic, the more the attic's going to be a place that you don't want to be. Some of us are 12th house moons, and we put, like, bean bags and lava lamps in our attic, and we go and hang out there because I live in a 2-bedroom home, and now it can be a 3-bedroom home if I, like, do something with it, or if I could, like, repurpose the space. Like, I'm really interested in, like, putting Venus in, like, the supply closet. Like, that's my moon placement, you know? My Taurus moon in the 12th. So I feel like some of us also utilize, like, if you need to like protect yourself, for example, like if we're ever going through another global pandemic and you really need to like protect, you know, or you need to like really go in like listening mode, which is really what it is. It's just about being able to hear. But you can sometimes put your true self, which might be like the best parts of yourself, in the closet, and really let the world deal with the parts of you that you want to grow and develop, you know, or maybe like things that need to be ascended or aspects that need to be healed. So that's what I was letting people see for a long time, and I was going to be okay with it, because if they had anything to say about it, well then, you know, this is me trying to show it, trying to jump in the ring, because every side of you is going to have to jump in the ring. Like, I'm seeing like all aspects of yourself infinitely are in the bleachers of like a bull, like a volunteer, like rodeo or something, and everybody who wants to ascend would have to volunteer and do this specific like roping task in front of everybody. But that's like the ascension journey. So like your inner child, your divine feminine, your divine masculine, your lower self, your heart, you know what I mean? Like all these aspects of yourself need to volunteer and jump in and like really display that they're going to ascend in some, like they go through a trial to develop a new maturation, to mature as an energy, to support your overall growth. And that can also be managed collectively and in tandem. So it would be great if they all worked together, went all down as a team, and we're like, we're Alexis's components and we're down here trying to all work together. And that's kind of how I chose to do it. I was like, no, like, why don't I just like rotate these bitches out regularly, give these bitches a different version, you know? Okay, like maybe I go apply to like 5 or 6 horrible jobs that I know are just gonna kind of fuck me around, but it's a good soul contract for me because it'll give me a chance to like try to be your inner child this time. Okay, now try to be your, you know, divine feminine, and like go through the process. And so I ended up ascending all these aspects of myself, and all of that can be done in the subconscious. It doesn't have to be public. Because you could also save, and I feel like I'm a purist when it comes to performance art, and audience-ship, and how did we receive, you know? How do we receive? How are we in God's image in the audience? You know, the evaluator. This is something's contribution to your image, to your likeness. And it's something you produced, and you're watching its expansion on itself. You're watching it, you know. So how are you in God's image when you're in the audience? And I think that's another big thing about this purist. Like, you're gonna also have to be in the audience. I think the audience is also maybe more where you want to be. Like, you're not always gonna want to be on stage. And I think there was this like way to keep people really low consciousness, is they could keep you thinking that there's only ever just stage. Like, when you go to a show, there's only just the actors and the like wood stage, when that's never the case at a theater. There are so many people embedded in just the image that you see, which is usually just a pure picture of whatever the show is. I'm thinking like theater, but there are, you know, stage managers, there could be orchestra in the pit, there could be, you know, attendees, there's you as the audience, there's, you know, maintenance workers and rigs and all these things that are going on just to like show this picture. And yeah, so I feel like being a real performance art purist and really thinking about like how much you know, we want to preserve these, I was about to say the scarcity, because I feel like that's the scarcity, right? You don't really see it much anymore, but the sacredness of any space that we congregate in that reflection of source. And so that's all to say that the bottom of the deck being hiding yourself and then forgetting yourself, like those are the two spaces we all explored. But then you could easily arrange those to ascend and initiate and now be really embodied. So that's really positive. I'm gonna keep this going because I'm like a real human and I can go to the bathroom. it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't even matter because they can't hear you. They're not listening. Alright. So, wow. That was a drop. I think the Dragon Tarot wants to go next. I'm gonna like pick things up as I go. Yeah, I'm like, why am I being freaked out? I literally need to chill because it's like not that serious. Like, I'm just trying to talk to the camera. Keep it pretty intimate. Keep it pretty, whatever. We're gonna go on to the Dragon Tarot. We're gonna look at, I kind of like the idea of just one card. Just pulling one card. Yeah, I was just deeply channeling. Like, sometimes I like leave and I'm like, it seems so quiet in this house. Like, people can just like hear what I'm doing or whatever, but it doesn't matter. So, the Dragon Tarot. The Page of Cups. Right? Like, yeah. You have transformed. You have been reborn. You died in there. The caterpillar version of the butterfly or the baby dragon, like, died. There are so many forms that you shed in this egg, and now you've come out, though, because there's life outside of the egg, and that's scary. As you break through and you crack the egg, you're like, where the fuck am I gonna go? I've only ever known darkness, because it was horrible. It was tough. And then there's this giant cup for you to grab. Page of Cups is when you get your own cup. Because the first through the 10th cup has to go towards something. It has to build something. So, like, the first cup through the 10th cup, the Ace of Cups through the 10 of Cups, is all about assembling a thing. And then the court cards are all about getting what it's like when you get a Page of Cups. Like, get your own cup, you know what I mean? And then from there you go to the Knight of Cups, which is like maturing alongside your cup. Like, where that, like, the gift into the court cards is you get your own, right? And then it's bottom of the deck was the Nine of Wands, which was like the trial by fire, ascending up those staircases, blazing in the hot sun. Like, it's like the work, it's like painful, it's like probably like really hot in that egg, and like a lot of like chemical sort of bodily transformations are probably taking place, like, as you're ripening, and as your mother sits on those eggs and keeps them warm, the temperature probably like facilitates some of that like dragon, ascension. So coming out, it felt like a long journey in that egg, in the cosmic womb, before you rebirthed yourself. So congratulations. 4444. That's beautiful. Didn't I say one card? I did. So that's one card. Okay. And we can read the little booklet.